In the summer of the late 1980s, news broke that a rhino had been shot dead by ruthless poachers. The then commander of the Botswana Defence Force, Lieutenant General Ian Khama, jumped on board and immediately launched a massive counterattack. An army helicopter filled with men in uniform and armed with guns and tranquilizer darts scouted the northern plains of Botswana in search of the few remaining rhino, and possibly the killers of the reported rhino. The aim was to move these animals to a safe place where they could live without fear and continue to breed. These rhinos were all brought here to Khama Rhino Sanctuary, where they now share these vast plains of grasslands with over 29 additional animal species.
In the summer of 1989, a new haven was established in the sandy wilderness of the Ngwatu tribal territory. It was the brainchild of Mr. and Mrs. Ballantyne, Mr. Ray Watson, and the current president of Botswana, His Excellency Seretse Khama Ian Khama. Its main aim was to protect the last few remaining rhinos in Botswana after poachers had launched an offensive to get their hands on the most prized asset, the rhino horn. Contrary to popular belief, Khama Rhino Sanctuary now boasts a variety of animals that have made this their own home. It is also registered as a community trust of the people of Sarowe, Paje and Mabeleapodi, who were actively involved in the setting up of the Khama Rhino Sanctuary we see today. The board members are also elected from khotlas of the 3 participating villages every 2 years. The sanctuary now boasts over 30 animal species and over 230 bird species that are now proud residents of Khama Rhino Sanctuary. The first resident of this haven were 4 white rhinos that were transferred from Chobe and Moremi game reserves. They were saved from the wrath of the poachers. Another 5 white rhinos joined them soon after from Northwest Parks Board in South Africa to expand the number of the breeding herd. These rhinos were later joined by a number of other species that came into the park after intensive consultation with the members of the 3 villages to establish the sanctuary. In 2001, the first black rhino cow, Chinga, was introduced to the sanctuary. And around 2005, the renowned Friendly and hand-raised Noddy was introduced to join Chinga. They've already produced offspring and are doing their bit to increase the number of black rhinos in Botswana. One of the residents that have made their mark in the park is Botswana's national animal, the zebra. There are well over 200 grazing the plains of Khama Rhino Sanctuary, most of which were brought in from the wild. Even though zebras are wild animals, they are meek by nature and are a true reflection of Botswana's caring and kind character. The zebra is depicted in the nation's coat of arms and is also the brand name for the national soccer team. With adults growing to a towering height of well over 3 meters, the giraffe is the world's tallest mammal. This resident uses its height to advantage to act as a guard to most animals here, hand-picking the most succulent leaves from the top of the trees with their prehensile tongues. One fascinating fact about a giraffe is that it moves its adjacent limbs at the same time when walking, unlike the majority of other quadrupeds. There are also a number of antelopes adding to the scenic landscape of this haven. Among them is the ever-shy kudu, with the towering horns that the bull carries so majestically. Kudus are susceptible to drought, and since they are mainly browsers, it is near the end of the Botswana winter, during the dry season, when the acacia trees drop their leaves and food becomes scarce for them, that they suffer most. The kudu bull enjoys his private space most of the time, but he does get along with the other residents here. However, he does not trust his caretakers most of the time and will flee at the sight of a human being. The natural fear is most probably born from human beings' love of kudu meat. The eland is the largest antelope in Africa, with similar traits to that of the kudu. She is also a shy animal, but enjoys the company of her relatives. She of course weighs a lot more than the kudu. Some say the eland looks like a huge cow crossbred with a kudu. One resident who can be deceiving if judged on his looks alone is the blue wildebeest. He looks so wild and dangerous that you might compare him to the Cape buffalo. But actually, he's the most fearful, humble, funny and ugly resident among the lot. And skinny legs, which are designed for speed rather than strength. These residents move around in large herds, a survival tactic they use to avoid being targets of predators, because straying too far from the rest of the herd may be a suicidal move. Impalas are fast runners and well known for their athletic and leaping ability, reaching heights of up to 3 meters. Impalas prefer to move in large herds, which comprise mainly of females and sub-adult males. Ironically, the rams prefer to isolate themselves from the rest of the herd, forming bachelor herds when it is not the mating season. Impalas are naturally wild animals, but they tend to adjust well to the presence of human beings around them, especially in closed and monitored settings like game farms, and here at Khama Rhino Sanctuary. Some of the avian residents here do not conform to the borders created by the sanctuary's fences, but they still form part of the big family at Khama Rhino Sanctuary. The only avian resident who is disadvantaged from crossing these borders is the ostrich, because of its size and of course its inability to fly. He remains the fastest on the ground amongst the bird species though. Khama Rhino Sanctuary has lived up to its core mandate since day one: to protect and preserve some of the species under the threat of extinction. A large number of the animals now roam freely within the sanctuary, with little worries of being attacked by poachers who only see them as meat and trophies. They enjoy the comfort of the sanctuary, which is heavily guarded by members of the communities of Suroe, Paje and Mabeliapodi, as well as sanctuary rangers and members of the Botswana Defence Force. They call this home. A home away from home in their natural habitat, where they were rescued to enjoy the calm and tranquil scenic view of the vast grasslands of the Nagwatu territory. Their only fear comes from one of their own, the most secretive and elusive big cat in Africa, the leopard. Where there are so many antelopes, a medium to balance the ecosystem is a requirement. The most feared, most secretive, and elusive cat helps to balance the ecosystem of the sanctuary. There are now few leopards roaming the sanctuary's wilderness in search of their next prey. Other predators that scavenge the grasslands of Khama Rhino Sanctuary are black-backed jackal and hyenas, whose paths cross from time to time on the hunting ground. And the only rule is that the winner takes all. These are the residents of Khama Rhino Sanctuary.
This is indeed a safe haven for all the animals within the borders of the sanctuary. Since the establishment of Khama Rhino Sanctuary, there's been no report of any poaching. But remember, it's not about you and me, it's about the residents. So, from me, Yannick Kleinans, until we meet again in the next episode of The Residents.